famous saying that says, tough times are temporary, but drip is forever. I'm sitting next to somebody who understands the assignment when we talk about ukotini. Tata Brian Mufokeng, how are you? Looking very dapper.
I learned from the best. I mean, sitting around you, Itu and Adi, I've realized I need to up my ante. I cannot sit right at the bottom.
And it's only fair so that we call you.
That's what I'm saying. Or the 20, I must rock up like the older one, show the kids how it's supposed to be done.
I love it. Sit on their necks.
Wabon.
Let's talk about this week's trivia question. The trivia question is, what is the record-winning scoreline at the COSAFA Women's Championship? I've heard of some numbers which made me wonder if, the team was playing alone. Those moments where where was the goalkeeper? I wonder, is that one of those or it's a mild one?
It is amongst one of those, and another one you're going to come and say, but what happened to the other team? Why didn't they just show up? But it's one of those. But you've seen it. When you come to a competition for the first time, you're going to get walloped.
Yes.
You call it buttons of fire. Yes. Seychelles are experiencing it at the moment. They've just gone through their own welcome to the party type of vibe. There's one country, also an islander, that went through the same phase. We'll talk about it later on.
Now, top of the news, a couple of weeks ago, we saw a story that is circulating about the drama that took place at the Libyan airport for the match that was supposed to be against Libya and Nigeria. However, Nigeria found themselves sitting at the airport for over 48 hours, which subjected them to not participating in that match. Now, the CAF DC has come up with a ruling now with regards to the matter.
Yeah.
The penalty is out. Do you think it's a fair penalty? And maybe let's tell, our viewers, what the decision was. They did breach the clause of the disciplinary code, and now they have awarded Nigeria with 3 points of a 3-0 scoreline, and also a $50,000 fine. Do you think that is fair?
If you look at the gist, I still remember when this story came out the first time. We were sitting here and Itu was doing the show. I was doing the show with Itu. And I said to Itu, CAF should have dealt with these things long time ago. It's not the first time something like this happens on the continent, And that, I would love to see what the DC will do. The fact that they made this strong decision, they've taken a strong decision to say you have breached the following articles. In talk when it comes to Article 82, Article 31, and Disciplinary Code 151 also. They've mentioned all of those, So we'll try and put those up for viewers to be able to go through them. We'll put them on social media so people can actually see what those articles are and what those disciplinary codes are from a CAF point of view. I still believe that the fact that Nigeria was stuck at the airport for a long time, but somebody will say South Africa had the same problem. Libya had the same problem into Nigeria. But I'm saying two wrongs don't make it right.
Definitely.
So what happened in Libya's situation is that Nigeria took a stand, decided you're not going to honor this game. We'll walk away because we can't be subjected to all of these things and still have to play a game. So they walked away, get 3 points. They're now sitting on 10 points. They're sitting on top of their group. They have Benin and Rwanda just behind on 6 and 5, and they have Libya right at the bottom. So they actually put Libya in a very bad position now for qualifying of this competition.
Exactly, and that's what I wanted to ask you. This sets a tone, but what does this mean for Libya now? What do they have to do in order for them to see a chance of advancing?
They have to win their 2 matches against Benin and Rwanda, first of all. And also, they need to also be hopeful that those 2 countries, Benin and Rwanda, don't collect points. Because they can get 6 points from those 2 matches. They win those 2 matches. They can get as far as 7 points. Because the 2 teams are on 6 and 5, just above them. All each of those teams need at the moment to qualify is a win and a draw. And they'll be able to go through. Even if they don't win both their matches and win a match and the other one does not collect points, one of them will qualify from a group because number 1 and 2 will go through. Nigeria now sitting on top on 10 points. They know, win the next game, they're home and dry. They'll qualify for, even if Nigeria, in fact, goes in the next game and just get a draw, those other teams still need to do the job for them to be able to usurp Nigeria on the top. So I think it is something that maybe Libyans will feel hard done by, but the reality is that football is played on the field of play. Play fair and win the matches. This issue was long coming. I just felt that CAF dragged their feet when it came to dealing with these issues because it even happened on inter-competition. Inter-club competitions. We have seen teams saying that we arrive, we have to drive for hours to get to another place. So that happens regularly. So I think this will set a new precedence to say, You mess around with us, we will deal with you accordingly going forward. And I have to say for that, kudos to CAF for taking a decision finally.
I love that. And unfortunate for Libya, but however, we need to treat this space as the professional space that it is. And I think it sets the tone for everybody else and probably brings a closing to all these conversations that we come across. Now, on to positive news. We are going to move on to beach soccer. And before I actually ask my question, do you believe that beach soccer is a sport that has been given enough talkability, marketing in the space? It almost like is treated like the stepchild. We don't see many matches or any clashes being broadcasted, to say the least.
Traditionally, beach soccer has always been a sport that you find mostly in areas that have beaches. For an example, I know that there's a gentleman I know very well, Gordon Mamasondo. He's now moved to KZN. He's running beach soccer from that point of view. So from a South African point of view, I knew he's running that and getting things going. I mean, I was able to watch the COSAFA edition of that. I've watched the AFCON before of beach soccer, so it's not the first time I'm actually hearing about it, but because I'm in that space. For somebody who's not in that space, then they started to follow it. I remember how I got to fall in love with the sport was when I went to Brazil, and I realized how big it is in Brazil. That's where players learn to skills and how they learn to control the ball, because you can't put it on the ground because of sand. They now know how to juggle the ball and get things going. So, from that point of view, you realize what happened. So you realize why we find certain nations excelling, like Senegal. Now you're talking about good news. Senegal defending their title, winning against Mauritania. We're debutants, by the way. It was a tournament played in Egypt, and they eventually won it 6-1. But also interesting also is the fact that Senegal did play against the same Mauritania in the group stages. They lost by 5-2, but it's a comeback of what actually went about it. And they therefore qualify for the Beach Soccer World Cup as well, for the FIFA Beach Soccer World Cup. So I believe that we can do more. And the only way beach soccer can actually get the support and the control you're talking about is when we have clubs. Local clubs having beach soccer clubs as well. Because then people will buy into the brand, and then you can be able to improve it and get it going forward. Futsal is the same story. As long as you don't have we do have a league that is run by SAFA, which is a futsal league. We also have a league that's run by SAFA, which is a beach soccer, but it is not given the same exposure because you don't have clubs that that are popular. Your Sundowns or Chiefs linked to it.
I think Ndate Brian Mofokeng doesn't realize he was giving us a little bit of a recipe there when he spoke about how Brazil is so good, where it started. Maybe we're onto something. We must start investing in those spaces. But guys, it's time for us to catch a quick break and we'll be right back.